landlocked lobster shack we can't afford, but turn up to anyway and order the clam chowder and try to describe what dying as gesture means. Symbolism, objectified and affixed to the crucifix resting atop the bosom of Carla, monastic nun turned Spitfire cabaret dancer 3 nights a week at the Atomic Cowboy. I watched her ruffle and kick once, and my head sang like a calliope, I say between spoonfuls of chowder, and he says Jesus wasn't just some pushover. He doesn't say radical, but I love visualizing the fringe hero of humanity locked on a crash course with the tip of a Roman spear. A couple wearing lobster boil bibs around their necks look happier than 2 stones skipping upon the surface of a calm lake as they suck buttered bits of claw meat down their gullets, bits broken, microscopic, and spirited through blood vessels that, if laid end on end, could map out an ancient trade route stretching twice around the globe. I imagine camps of travelers with camels warming themselves by fires together and telling stories of Jesus, the outsider, Lord of the axe grinder, God turned man, turned shit disturber, ready to upend heaven and earth for the sake of humankind. I love the quiet bravado of saviors who die before we can know them. I look at the walls around me and see only whitewashed bricks and think maybe the bricks listen. I point to the wall and say maybe each brick is like another ear of God tuned to the conversations of man. Or maybe they dream of the wrecking ball, he says. I've given up on knowing, given up on the delusion of control, which means to me he's rolled back the stone and is waiting for his turn to rise. Through the canyon of buildings, I hear the echo of an engine throttling into high gear above the churn of highway noise and feel my own blood careening closer to my heart like an F1 racer hitting a sudden rise in the track too fast, all 4 tires going airborne at once. Sometimes I've hurt myself on purpose. Sometimes I think we're driven toward doom by virtue of the earth beneath us, with all our history twirling on its fingertips like an amateur plate spinner and speeding along a cosmic route at 67,000 miles per hour through an expanding or contracting universe which passes before us like the blinking eyes of an audience at an annual conference of quantum physicists who are waiting for the keynote speaker to stop blathering and take a drink of water. What is nobility but the reward for patience? What is consciousness but the cooled ash after the fire, aware of how it got there? I'm tired of burning. I'm tired of being cooled. I want to give my advisor the answers he's looking for, but I am a ruin of questions. Where once there was a temple, only pillars. Where once a roof, now only clouds and darkness, interrupted by the jest of stars. A wine fridge, used gently, free for pickup on Craigslist. It rests there because, quite simply, capitalism requires that such novelties accrue when the middle class suffers a glut of bonus income come February. And I don't know how much cheap wine fits inside, but Kendall Jackson comes to mind as the only bulk white I recall from the country club where I worked banquets at 16, so I could afford to hashtag Hey Mr. Beer and gun it across the county line and disappear for what it was worth into a bonfire where I must have said at least a dozen times, fuck this penguin outfit, or fuck those goddamn rich-ass motherfuckers, or pass me a smoke. I got a light. Still, that wine fridge will never cross my lawn, let alone my front door threshold, the same way my 16-year-old self will never give up chain smoking or believing in the beautiful death or staring bewilderedly out from inside my body's bones at what's left of him that I've kept shelved in a plastic bin on the unfinished side of the basement. A few pictures in a journal, maybe a soccer trophy. His disappointment will just have to get in line with the rest of me, because old age crushes boutonnieres into the shape of a wine fridge. A fucking fridge designed for the purpose of keeping wine at less than room temperature. I hate wine. And yet here it is now, smack dab in the middle of my poem, which is just what I need. One more absurd, impossible thing I have somehow been charged with getting rid of.